My name is Robert Damon Vincent, and I was born February 19th, 1969 in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Well, I grew up in two different places during my childhood. I grew up partly in Lake Charles up until I was 10 years old. Then my family moved to Canada and lived there for 2.5 years till I was 13, and then we moved back to Lake Charles, and I've been here ever since. Growing up in Lake Charles, when I was younger, played sports, played football, baseball, all during that time. The neighborhood I lived in, it was just a regular, neighborhood back in the 70s and 80s, and we had fun playing on the street, collecting frogs, frog hunting at night. It was a lot different setting than, when I moved back. Living in Canada was completely different because 8 months out of the year it was cold. 4 months out of the year it was great weather. But I got exposed to playing hockey, which I fell in love with. And then just playing in the snow that I'd never done before. And then once we moved back, then it was getting back in connection with all my old friends that I'd grown up with in the neighborhood and stuff. And then just, finishing high school and going to college and, going to McNeese and doing what I love to do, and that's design. My earliest memory, what my dad did, he had several different jobs before I was born, but the main job that he had after I was born was a heavy equipment operator. And so he ran cranes, dozers, backhoes, track hoes, stuff like that, and basically did that for quite a while. And then once we moved up to Canada, then he drove a 18-wheeler, took lessons, taught himself, and which was kind of a different experience because over there he was driving across ice lakes and rivers during the winter, and then having to fight the mountains during the summer. My mom, she basically was a stay-at-home mom most of my life, but early in my life, just to make ends meet, then she worked retail at Montgomery Ward's. And so she worked over there for, I think, just about a year or two. And then she ended up quitting because my dad was making enough money, and he really wanted, since I was an only child, he really wanted her to be, stay home and raise me. It was me. It was interesting because, I didn't get everything I wanted. A lot of people, thought I was spoiled, but when you're the only child, then that's all your parents have to take care of and give to. So, but it was different because I had some things I couldn't relate to, with other kids because they had brothers and sisters. But for me, it was pretty awesome. My childhood was pretty nice. I would have to say, even being an only child, it was pretty awesome. One was when I was about 7 years old. We had moved to a different neighborhood, and it was around my immediate family. So I had all my cousins that lived on the next street over from where we lived. One family had 5 brothers and sisters, and the other one had 7. And so, for me being an only child, it was really nice because even though I didn't have brothers and sisters, it was kind of like I grew up with brothers and sisters. And in those families, they had kids that were either my age or just a couple of years younger than I. And so we all played around and, had a nice time, while I was, for those 3 or 4 years that we lived in that area. Now, when we moved away, moved to Canada, then it kind of got worried because then I only had 2 cousins that were around my age that I was going to be able to play with. So it was kind of scary. But once I got up there and actually got into school, all the people in this town, because it was a very small farm town, it was 1,800 people compared to 50,000 that was in Lake Charles. And so when I got to school, the teacher was really nice in having one of the students tell them, say, hey, go and introduce them to all of your friends. And so in the 2.5 years I was up there, even to this day, I could call up any one of them, and they would, we would be reminiscing about those days, and, it would just be like, nothing ever changed. they were really, really nice up there. And then once I moved back to Lake Charles, after those 2.5 years, then my old childhood friends that I grew up with, my family and also all of my old friends, it was like nothing had ever changed. We had just kind of picked up where we left off. And I mean, we finished junior high together and, went to high school together. And so it was really nice. Like I said, some people think, being an only child that, it's not that great, but I mean, for me, it was awesome. My one story is basically dealing with my job. When I was 6 years old, I saw a picture in a magazine of an airbrushed van, and this was back in the 70s, so they had, the custom magazines that my dad was keeping, and I saw this van, and I decided that I wanted to try and draw it. And so I drew it, and it had some kind of dragon or something on the side of it, had spoke wheels and all this stuff on it. And so I started drawing it and didn't trace it, actually drew it. And my mom and dad, praised me. I guess I was part of being only child, but they kind of praised me. And from that day on, I wanted to be an artist. And so I decided from that day on that I was going to do everything I could to teach myself how to draw or be in art. And it wasn't until I got into high school that I discovered graphic design, and then that's when I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Since I lived in Lake Charles and Canada, then I have quite a few. My first school that I ever went to was Nelson Elementary. Went for kindergarten and first grade. Then I switched in second grade and went to Brentwood Elementary. Went there till fifth grade, or part of fifth grade actually. Then once we moved to Canada, then I went to what was called Beaver Lodge, which everybody kind of made fun of when I got back and they asked me what school I went to. But I went to Beaver Lodge Elementary till sixth grade, and then went to Hythe Junior High in seventh grade. And that was the time that we moved back to Lake Charles. And so from there I went to F.K. White and LaGrange. And then after that, finished up my whole school at McNeese and graduated from there with a bachelor's in design. My first design job after graduating McNeese was actually in Lafayette. My best friend from college was the art director for a Yellow Page advertising company. They were one of the first ones in the Lake area, or actually in the southern area, that started doing full color process ads in a phone book. And so he basically found me, came and asked me, he said, look, I'm an art director at this company. He said, would you mind moving to Lafayette to go and work for this company? And at first I was kind of hesitant because it was Yellow Pages. But then once he started telling me what they were doing and how they were doing it, then it really got me interested. And so we picked up and moved over there. Once I got over there, it really helped me out because the job entailed of actually doing about 12 to 15 ads a day. That was the criteria that you had to, that they held you up to. And so it really got me to learn my programs well, to where I was just doing shortcuts all the time to get things done. And then it really taught me how to quickly put together an ad using all the elements of design. Some of them we had templates built, but they didn't apply it to every customer, or to every company that we were doing them for. So it really got me to notice design and design quickly and design well. And so yeah, as far as the first design job I had, that was the one I had. Actually, I have about 3 that I can think of as far as in my job. The first one was when I started working for Peter O'Carroll, and he assigned me to the Ice Pirates campaign. We started, Ice Pirates was a hockey team here in Lake Charles. It was brand new, so we got on the forefront of the inaugural season. And since I had knowledge and played hockey up in Canada, then Peter came to me and said, "Hey, would you, mind taking over, most of the campaign on this?" And so, I mean, that was basically my first, real big job that, I was given. I had done small ads here and there for other companies, but for him, or for that, it was my first big campaign. So that one, I mean, went off really well. Had a lot of fun doing it, because it was a sport that I loved. I mean, I had knowledge of it from playing it when I was younger. So I took a lot of that knowledge of when I was a kid and related that to how I thought that it needed to be advertised to the people. So that was one of my first accomplishments, was actually a big campaign like that, getting that started. My second one was actually doing the Lake Charles Symphony logo. That started off actually as a luncheon, what we called a brown bag luncheon at Peter's. So we brought our lunch. We all sat down on the floor, and he said, "This is what we need to do. We need to come up with a logo for the Lake Charles Symphony." And so all three of us, we had Jenny Carg and Kathleen DeVille, that was also artist there, and all three of us came up with ideas. Mine was the only one that really incorporated a grand piano. Unbeknownst to me, the Lake Charles Symphony is the only symphony between San Antonio and New Orleans that actually owns their own grand piano. It was donated to them by a family in Lake Charles. So since I had the grand piano in my logo, they really liked that. But then my original concept was having a treble clef in it, and he thought that was kind of too plain, and so Peter ended up incorporating Jenny's part into mine, which was the neck of the cello. And so that collaboration together, we won Best of Show at the local Addies, and I believe it went to district and won like silver at the district level. The part that amazed me on that was that it was given Best of Show a print, which is usually given to a brochure, which is many, many pages, or some kind of poster or something bigger. And also the amazing fact was, if anybody's seen it, is the logo is only in black and white. That was the thing, was that it was just black and white. I tried to put color to it, never could find the right color, and went to Peter, and Peter was the one that recommended. He goes, "Well, maybe it just needs to be black and white." And so we ended up getting Best of Show with that logo, and it still today gives me kind of chills knowing that got Best of Show for just a logo. My third one accomplishment is by myself. Tom Hager approached me for doing the Swashbucklers. Because I had worked with him before and doing the Ice Pirates with Peter. Later on, after I left Peter's, Tom took over, or basically bought a football franchise. And so he approached me and asked me if I would mind doing, or if I could do the campaign for the Swashbucklers indoor football. And so I did that for the inaugural season, and also did it for the second season. And then after that, we parted ways. I got busy with my regular job, but I was doing this on the side, and so got busy with that. But I was the one that actually kicked off, did the logo, did the print ads, did trade, liners for McDonald's, all that stuff, all by myself here at the house. Right now, my job is I'm a graphic designer. Work for Martin Energy Services. It's a sister company to a larger corporation, which is Martin Resource Management. We have approximately about 20 different dock facilities, ranging from Corpus Christi all the way to Tampa, Florida. And my job is to actually provide the print advertisement, web advertisement, whatever they need for the company. There's a couple of things I'm grateful for. The first is my parents. All during my life, like I had mentioned before, I started to love drawing. Knew I wanted to be an artist when I was 6 years old. And no matter what time of my life that I was doing that, they always supported me. Whether it was sports, art, playing music, whatever I wanted to do, they were always supporting me. So definitely grateful for that, because without them, buying art supplies, or, if I wanted something, to be able to do art, then they supplied it for me. They never said don't. I had some people in my life that, oh God, why do you want to be an artist? God, you're not going to make any money doing that. They never said that to me. And so, for that I'm grateful, because they never stopped me from achieving my dream. And that was one of the things I dreamed of, was being able to make money and support my family, of being an artist. And that's what I do today. I mean, I'm a graphic designer, and, supporting my family. The other thing I'm grateful for is my wife. No matter what went on in our life, she followed me, she supported me. 5 days after we were married, we moved to Canada. And the minute that I told her that I had to leave to go to Canada because my parents couldn't support me anymore, being down here, she immediately was like, "You're not going without me." So she's supported me in whatever I wanted to do. We always talk things over before we make a big decision, but anything that I wanted to try and do, she's always been there and supported me. Basically, they've been the backbone of who I am today and where I'm at today. And without that support, I don't think I'd be sitting here saying that I've achieved what I wanted to achieve from when I was 6 years old. Yeah, basically for design, or I guess any job, and I guess it would be kind of cliche, but I always like the saying is, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I've been doing that for several years now. I've been designing. I'm involved with computers. I love what I do. And, most of the days that I go into work, it doesn't feel like it's work. I get to design and do what I like to do. And so to me, I'm not working. I'm still having fun like I'm in school. And then the other thing for life is don't worry and be happy.